My barbecue stopper is that we got a lot of good public art, especially sculpture, in Melbourne, that we ought to be proud of. But often when it's reported, it's, can you believe the council spent this much on this? Well, John Watson is the chair of panel of administrators for Brimback City Council. John, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ross and John.
There's a splendid sculpture in the Docklands called Cow and a Tree. You want to secure a sculpture by the same artist for the suburb of Sunshine. How are you proposing to pay for it?
Well, we do. We certainly do want to do that. John Kelly, the artist who's famous for his various versions of cows around the world, including Docklands, has he actually grew up in Sunshine. He wants to give something back to the area, so he's offered the council a sculpture at a reduced rate. We're not talking actual numbers for various reasons, and the way we want to pay for it is to attract sponsorship. The council is very conscious of the cost to the community, and also conscious that art is a very important part of building a community, and that's what we're doing in Sunshine and Brimback. And
it sounds, John, like the council is also acutely aware of the trouble that councils can get into when they fund things like public sculpture.
I think we're sensitive to those sorts of things, although there is a place for councils to pay for public art. Otherwise our communities would be much poorer than they are in the visual sense as we move around. Just take a look at Melbourne. Yeah,
no, I've got a mate who I've said, you know, I've often thought about public funding of art. How can you take money out of the wage of a factory earner in order to pay for a sculpture to be built by some bloke who doesn't get out of bed by lunchtime? And he said, well, the argument against that is if you didn't have publicly funded art, you'd have very little art.
Exactly, and I suspect that John Kelly gets out of bed much earlier than that to make these works.
And if you want sponsors for it, where will the sponsor advertising be?
Well, we're trying to get the word around through things like the material that's appeared in the press today. Talking to you is a great opportunity to get the word out that we're interested in organisations and individuals that might want to be philanthropic in dealing with such a matter.
Right, so it's not like Etihad Stadium. There's a possibility that someone listening says, I think this is a good idea, I'll contribute $20. Or you want more than that?
We haven't thought quite at that level. The way in which we approach the sponsorship is something we're about to embark on, but the amount is significant. And if someone was to come along and say, you know, here's 50 or 100, as in thousands, towards this sculpture, this major piece of artwork for the community, and what will be, you know, the new Sunshine of the West, another great centre of Melbourne, as it was in the past. And that's the sort of language you'd like to talk.
Where should people go?
They can come to the council. They can ask for me. They can ask for our chief executive officer, and we'll sit down and talk with them.
Brimback City Council. Ask for John Watson. Good on you, John.
Okay, thank you both.
That debate's been going on for so long. Yellow Peril, a.k.a.
Oh yes, it has got an appropriate name, hasn't it? Vault, is it?
Yeah. Ron Robertson Swan? Is that the... I wonder whether he's still alive. Ron Robertson Swan.
What part of the Yarra is it situated at?
I think it's opposite on the opposite bank to the casino.
Yeah.
I wonder whether an art-loving chap, such as the Lord Mayor, Robert Doyle, would consider relocating it to... can't put it back where it was. Well, perhaps you could, in the city square, but giving it more prominence than it currently has. I don't know, it was a Lord Mayor. It was a Lord Mayor of Melbourne who got rid of it in the first place.
Well, it was much criticised by the general public, was it not?
And I think the Lord Mayor at the time was Councillor Osborne. And he didn't like it at all, and I think he was the man responsible for shifting it. Maybe the current Lord Mayor can be the person responsible for shifting it back.